Said he would. You want me to get him on the phone? Or?
We have a quorum.
Okay.
And Craig is going to be late, so we just get started.
Okay, that'll work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's time, boss.
So I want to call this commission meeting to order at 5 o'clock. Invocation. What do you want to say? Frank?
Mason?
Father God, we just thank you for this day, Lord. Thank you for allowing us to gather here, God, and pray that you could just be with each and every one of us, Lord. God, we pray that you could look over this meeting, Lord, and the business that's brought before it, God. We pray that we could just follow you and seek you in all things that we do. And we just ask for your protection over our friends and our family. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Pray to read it.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of Mexico and is a symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
roll call.
Commissioner Montoya,
Here.
Commissioner Monette,
Here.
Chairman Gonzalez,
Here.
Commissioner Secretary, Commissioner Aguilar,
We have a quorum. Number 6, approval of agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I'd make the motion to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
We got a first by Danny and then a second by Philip, also known as Commissioner Monette and Commissioner Montoya. All in favor? Aye. Agenda is approved. Next not on the item is approval of minutes, January 14, 2025.
Motion to approve.
Second. Got a motion for Commissioner Monette and a second from Commissioner Montoya. All in favor?
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Number 8, committee and department reports. You've seen the written ones that were in the packet. I don't know if there's anybody that want to do a oral one.
Sure.
Are you waving?
Department report?
Yeah, it's department report.
Or office report?
Sheriff Pacheco.
Chairman, commissioners. Don't have a lot to report, just a few things. Right now, we're working with Commissioner Secretarial and County Manager on possibly getting a side-by-side for doing search and rescues and getting out in the mountains. Sometimes every year we have several people that get lost, or people that are out there getting lost. And so that's something that we're going to be able to use pretty often. And hopefully we can work something on. Hopefully send the information to county manager. One thing that I've been seeing right now in the legislature that really concerns me is House Bill 271 or 279, which basically bans all gas-operated firearms, which is any semi-automatic pistol or rifle. And they're trying to get it passed through committee right now. It's sitting in committee. But I've talked with some of the legislators and they think that there's a good chance it'll pass. This is a unbelievable crime against our rights. To me, it's a crime if they do this. It is anti-Second Amendment as much as it can get. That would take thousands and thousands and thousands of guns away from New Mexico, law-abiding citizens, including myself, and maybe some of you guys here. And that's what it's going to hurt, is the law-abiding citizens, because the criminals will not turn in their guns. And it's a hill that I am willing to die on and to fight as the sheriff with all of any authority that I have. And I would ask the commissioners to think about that, think about what that means for our constituents, what they want. It's not what most people in the state want. New Mexico has over a 51% of its population own guns. It's one of the highest in the country. And a lot of those guns are the guns that they're talking about banning. And it's criminal. And if it does pass, like I said, I will come and I will talk to the commission and ask for your support in doing anything we can to fight this. Because it's something that needs to be fought.
Let me ask you this, have the association talked to an attorney about filing a lawsuit against the state?
Not that I've heard.
You need to get with an attorney, or if you guys still have an attorney on hand,
Yes, we do.
talk to them about filing a lawsuit on the state. Because it's already been litigated through the Supreme Court that it's unconstitutional to ban any English weapons.
And it has. In a couple different cases now that it's unconstitutional. And what they're hoping is that if we sue them, it's going to take 12 years to get to the Supreme Court.
It shouldn't do that, but that's why I said you, as the association, need to get on it right now and not wait till it passes.
Yeah.
Start talking about it now. That way you're set to go as it passes.
And I have talked to some of the board members of the association, and they're watching it now, and I will talk to them about putting in that suit. And, but it is really something to think about, and it's unbelievable to me. Especially when you have legislators saying there's a good chance it's going to pass.
Even if you don't have the ability to hire an attorney, you guys need to contact the NRA or all these other civil rights groups, gun rights groups. Get with them to join their forces.
Thank you for the information.
And I'll be able to tell you probably this next commission meeting next month what the status of it is. Commissioner Secretary, I was just talking to them about a House bill that is in the New Mexico legislature right now. It's in committee, but it is the base of it is taking away all semi-automatic firearms or all gas-operated firearms in New Mexico. You have to destroy them or you have to register them, which is also, to me, is big no-no. And so that's something that's coming across. So. Anything else, guys?
Not for me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, if you would take one and pass it down. What I have in front of you here is from the road department. So what the road department wanted to do is provide you some different examples of before and after photos of some of the work that we've been able to accomplish over the last month. That what you have here is tonight is the night to where the board adopts the annual road maintenance report. And kind of one of the remarkable things is when we look back to 15 years ago to when the county had 7 blades. Currently, we've got 3 plus 1. And what we've been able to accomplish with basically half the equipment amounts to more than we were ever able to complete in looking back at the books for fiscal year 23 and 24. And so under the tutelage of our new road director, this is the type of evidence of what's been going on there with the department. And the other thing that you'll notice is that with all of the new hires that we have, he's been able to get out there and train them on all the different techniques of how to repair the roads. And so we've been able to tackle a lot with basically what hadn't been in existence before. And so one of the other talking points that I'll be getting to here briefly when it comes to my turn to present to you is going to be kind of a discussion about the financial condition of the road department that was left to us when I took over in July. And so this will be some of those different things that are now occurring positively within the road department.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, what do you mean by 3+1?
We have 3 and there could be a 4th, but work needs to be done.
As far as money to hire somebody or money to work on it, or
Get it to where it needs to be, as well as having an operator we can put on it.
thank you.
If I may, Chairman. Manager Lockwood, if we can reframe in terms of statements like what you just said in terms of how the road department was left to me, just say, this is where we're at right now. And, we're not casting, okay, you know what, whatever happened back then, happened back then. This is your showdown. So you say, you know what, this is where we're at now, period. And
Understood, but
Okay.
respectfully, with a position that I may be able to put here, we need to have perspective as to where we were to where we are without casting aspersion. There's no aspersion meant to be cast,
okay.
but in being able to
All you
look
can
at
say,
where we are.
you can say is, okay, you know what, at this point, this is what our status is, and we'll move forward from here. Yes,
Understood.
okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I'd make a motion to acknowledge the written department reports as well as the verbal report from the sheriff's office.
Second. Got a motion from Commissioner Monette and a second from Commissioner Montoya in acknowledgement of the department reports.
All in favor?
Oh, all in favor? Sorry.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Okay, knowledge of managers report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. At the previous meeting, we had discussed presenting to the city of Socorro information pertaining to how the county could help the city of Socorro with EMS services. And as part of that proposal that was presented to the city that everybody has received a copy of, we told the city that we could do 2 years fully financed, within a staggering down to 75% the 3rd year to 50% the 4th year. The city, without hesitation, rejected it in its entirety. So one of the things that we have happening then is we have an emergency manager who has come in with some great ideas of how we're going to be able to transform our emergency department to be able to address some of those concerns with EMS. Additionally, there's the potential of some other avenues that we can look at when it comes to negotiations with the city. Rather than coming to you and saying we need to get into an all-out war with the city, I think the offer that we made was a really, really good offer, both from a fiscal sense as well as a responsible sense. And the county was looking to address some of those previous concerns that the city had brought to our attentions. I think that at this juncture, that if the city really doesn't want to have the 75 to 50, I think our proposal should just be at the 2 years. The reason being is it gives everybody the opportunity to research what else can be done, but it gets us over the hump to where it is still going to be completely reimbursable rather than us just cutting the city a blank check.
Any comments?
Mr. Chairman, if I may, have you consulted with our legal department about that as far as his thoughts on that?
We've had initial talk and we'll keep discussing it.
Okay, thank you.
From my standpoint, I'm in favor of the reimbursement, and I think dollars and cents will go further than just handing them a blank check. And that way we know that it's going strictly to, because those costs can vary based on who you hire. And if it's a recruit guy young, you're gonna have money last you longer. If it's a certified guy, it's gonna beat it up quicker, that type of thing. So I think that approach would be good. But like you said, if it's done on a reimbursement, I think for the money that's put aside, I think it would be good for 2 years, if not a little bit more. So that's my 2 cents on that.
All right, what I'll go ahead and do is I will take this direction then, and I will continue to reach back out to the city and present them that information. And what I'll probably do is attend, if I can, their next city council meeting to be able to present it to all of the city councilors at once. So that way, if they have questions, I'll be able to answer their questions instead of going through a third party trying to answer questions.
I guess if we would, not an open-ended checkbook, but an open-ended dollar amount, so, they could hire 3, but they don't need to. I know that one of the positions has been hired through a grant, so that's why and that's the format we were trying to use, but they prefer it the other way.
Okay.
Anything else?
The savings provisions.
Yeah. The next item is going to be the Socorro County cash and investments. What you've been provided to you is going to be a discussion and a quick overview. It's not supposed to be completely in depth, but to give you a general idea and scope as to where Socorro County's money is being invested and how we're different than those situations that are currently impacting New Mexico Tech. If you flip all the way to the back page of that handout, that information back there is basically going to be that second bullet point on the first page. It's just so many numbers that it doesn't print well. But this gives you a basic idea of each one of the different line items that we have and code functions within the budget as to where that money specifically is going and how it's being invested and why. If you go to the page 2, down at the bottom there, you're going to have something called the Socorro County cash assets. And you'll notice that the cash balance for Socorro County is right at $40 million. Out of that, there's restricted cash of roughly $18.7 million. That restricted cash is going to be for all of those specific functions to where we cannot use that money for anything else except those enumerated items. The unrestricted cash, even though it's called unrestricted, is not truly unrestricted, but it comes out to right at $22.5 million. And you'll notice something called the LATCF. Here is where a lot of individuals have the misconception as to what that money can do. That money is specifically coming to us and has to be used for quote unquote projects, one-time non-recurring financial expenditures. So in other words, that money cannot be used for salaries. It cannot be used for anything else that might be recurring in the future. But this is one that we have to have a plan in place before we're able to expend it. So we have upcoming in March and April our initial discussions pertaining to the next year's fiscal budget. And so that will be my first opportunity to come to this board with my observations of the county and where we can put that money and why we can do those certain projects. But that'll be one of those initial discussions that we'll need to have happen. There on page 3, you'll see where our cash is currently, and there's money within First State Bank. The easiest way to think about it is First State Bank is the checking account. This is the money that we have to have on hand to pay our bills as of today. We're not able to take it and invest it anywhere else because it has to be there. It looks like a lot when you start thinking about the amount of money that's there at First State Bank, but that's only because it's every different line item within the budget that's incorporated. If we were able to just quote unquote put it all into one piece of pie, we could potentially do something with it. But because it's already in its individual slices, we can't put it back together. All right, so you'll notice that roughly what we're doing with our savings account is we're able to generate right at about 97,000 per month of interest right now that we're bringing in. So we're in really good financial shape when it comes to our investments with the other money that we have. Down at the bottom of page 3, you'll notice that the county treasurer plays a role in investments. That is both the Board of County Commissioners and the county treasurer that decides our investment portfolio and plan. And so one of those things that our new county treasurer is wrapping her hands around is going to be the revenues received, the fees charged received, the lost gains in banking, and the annual percentage yield. So right now, the recommendation is not for any additional money to be moved from operational funds at First State Bank to investments, but to closely monitor the situation because we just don't have any additional money at this time to transfer over into additional savings. On page 4, you'll notice once again is the discussion of how the treasurer and each one of you acts as the Board of Finance and how those investment decision making process goes about to where we have to make sure we're all on the same page. Now, the bottom of page 4 is going to be the one that everybody asks about the most, which is going to be the current available cash considering investments. I want to take you real quickly to look at line item 3, road department. Cash balance of $246,000 with an investment of $400,000. And you'll notice there's no operating balance. The road department is the only department in Socorro County that does not have a positive operating balance. That where we are currently is not in good shape whatsoever. That this is why the new road director has been so instrumental in getting some different things done and being able to create an avenue for us to where in the next fiscal year we can have discussions about that LATCF funding and potentially some one-time non-recurring expenditures that can help out our road department. But if we were to continue with what we were doing with the road department, this department would be bankrupt. And it's actually the only department in Socorro County that can generate its own funds by doing work for either the city of Socorro, Village of Magdalena, or other entities. So to have it currently in this type of situation is a little troubling, and that's where I'm going to be focusing. And that's why later on tonight, you're going to hear the recommendations that I'm making pertaining to the maintained roads within Socorro County.
Good question. So, knowing, okay, so you've been, it's almost been a year now in terms of being on board and knowing that the trend within that department, the trend of our financial status, what are some measures that you have come up with in terms of to help that trend to loading up the slope or what measures have we taken?
One of the first initial measures that you're going to see taken is the reduction in the overtime and taking those. The second one is the training of the individuals that we currently have on staff, making sure that they're able to go and operate the equipment efficiently. The third thing is actually our road director is out there on a daily basis on site monitoring what's going on. So he's able to determine the best use of the talent that we have and whether or not they're actually working out in the field. The next thing that we have happening then is when it comes to the ability right now, I can't implement any type of structural changes within the department because of the previously adopted budget. It is what it is, and I can't really get in there and transfer cash at this point. But it's going to be for the next fiscal year coming in with the recommendations with the LATCF to be able to address some of those equipment needs as well as some other things. And one of the biggest things that I've been able to do so far is when it comes to the safety of our crew and replacing the tires on our vehicles and equipment and bringing those up to code, because all of those tires had been outdated. They were cracked. They're not really safe, and somebody was going to get seriously injured out on the highway if they continued to operate. So these are going to be some of those different operational changes within the road department, as well as later on when I'm presenting about the maintained roads in Socorro County and why we're making the recommendations to you for the maintained versus non-maintained roads, is because it's now going to be fiscally aligned with the actual status of the road department.
If I may, sir.
Sure.
Of those points that you had just made, of those 4 points, you made 2 of those I do understand in regards to eliminating the overtime. And then also having our own road director in terms of providing, not going outsourced in regards to our training and whatnot. Any other, like, I mean, you're sitting there and you're telling us that, okay, we're going to continue to be red, and we are probably going to be continuing red because we're going to have a very hard discussion here in a bit in regards to when it comes to road, like I said, some of these roads they really need to be maintained. So they really need to be maintained because you talk about the safety of our people. What about the safety of our constituents in terms of some of these roads that needs to be bladed? We're talking washboards. What happens in terms of washboard? If you go fast enough, it's like, okay, if you overcorrect, boom, you're talking about an accident. So we have to be very careful in terms of going down that alley in terms of, okay, what do we do? Okay, we also have to keep our constituents in mind as well.
No, and that's why what you'll see once we get to the presentation of the maintained versus non-maintained roads is I will be presenting to you at that time the actual philosophy and rationale behind the decisions and recommendations that incorporate not only fiscal responsibility, what vehicles and equipment we currently have, but where our population base is and whether or not there's another entity or somebody else that could be providing those services, and whether or not we're trying to duplicate services that somebody else could and should be doing. So we're going to take all of those different things into account at that presentation.
Thank you, sir.
Andy, on page 2, the only question I have on that, where it says unrestricted cash, so really unrestricted cash is the 12,792, basically. I think it's page 2. Yeah. Where it says Socorro County cash assets. You have it broken down as cash, restricted cash, and then unrestricted. But of the 21.5, 12.7, 12.8 is really what's unrestricted.
Correct, and it's kind of a misnomer that is truly unrestricted because that's what we currently have in the general fund. So in other words, it's already been appropriated to something within the general fund. So for this year, in order to touch any of that money to do something different, we'd have to do a budget transfer, which means we're going to be taking it away from something that the board had wanted to do to something unexpected.
And included in that is the 3/12, correct? Required by DFA and state law to have by state statute or 3/12.
Correct.
Yes, sir. Oh, I was gonna ask you, how often do you replace your graders? Every quarter?
What's the question?
How often do you replace your grader?
In order to answer that question, I'm going to have to tell you there is not a current policy in place pertaining to the replacement of blades, replacement of tires, or anything else. But it's one of the things that when we get to the discussion of the roads, we're going to be talking about those next steps as to our actual equipment allocation and being able to track the equipment. Because currently, the equipment was not tracked and there is no plan in place.
And they are currently leased with the maintenance program, correct?
Correct, they're currently leased with the maintenance program.
Yeah, but because we get the road, you know, on the road, you guys need to be graded, like, you know, go to our road, go to our road.
Mr.
You
Chairman?
got that brand new grader,
Yeah.
brand
Uh,
new grader. I can't believe, I worked at Rexboro Middle School, and we, you know, like, you know, you gotta see, those grader tires will last you forever.
Ellen, if you want, I think you can make those comments during a public comment, I guess. Okay,
Excuse me?
if you can make those comments during public comment, if you want.
Sorry.
No problem, thank you.
Make a motion to acknowledge manager's report.
Before we do, I have another one, sir. I have another question. In terms of page 3, where our money is, in terms of our operational cash, we're sitting right now at roughly about 15.6 million. Now, I remember in the past that used to be in the neighborhood of 5, 6, 7, not dropping below 5. Is it really necessary to have that much readily available?
Thank you, Vice Chair. I would draw your attention to page 5. So if you look at the top of page 5 for general fund, what you'll notice is the operating balance is just above $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
So what we've done there is that's where you're getting that previous number from. So we've done a really good job of actually keeping it below $5 million so that we could invest the rest of it. But when it comes to that total of $15 million, remember that's going to be the other encumbered area of it that we are not able to pull out of those other funds because each one of the funds has to have the current operating balance in order to keep us to write checks every month. And so what I can tell you is right now, for each one of those other funds, we are right where we need to be, that there's no superfluous amount of money in those other funds that we could transfer into savings right now. If we were to transfer anything out of savings right now out of those, we wouldn't be able to write the checks that we need to do on a monthly basis with those funds.
Anything else? We had a motion from Commissioner Monette to approve manager's report. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second from Commissioner Montoya, so we acknowledge the manager's report.
Aye.
All in favor?
I
Aye. Thanks for the friendly reminder. Acknowledges Commissioner's report. Commissioner Montoya, you have anything to report? No?
Just, we gotta address the roads, but if he's got something on the agenda we'll address it then.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I attended my first CLLA meeting a week and a half ago. It was very entertaining to say the least, but I think we see a path forward and I think things are working out. We have 2 more meetings this month. We're getting our minutes passed and we're getting the residents paid for their losses on their livestock due to the problems. So
All the
we're
residents.
moving forward.
thank you. Good.
Good to hear. That was a good program. Commissioner, Vice Chair Secretary.
I really just don't have anything right now. I'm still adjusting in regards to going from 2 meetings a month down to 1. I'm really seriously reconsidering that, but like I said, in terms of, if it works for everybody, that's fine. But personally, I feel that I'm more out of the loop in regards to, the things that. That's probably my biggest task right now. So thank you, sir.
Thank you. Me personally, county business, I have nothing, but personally, I just want to say that God's been good to me, and I got 2 good new knees, and it's doing good. I won in December, the other one last week, and I'm ready to run a race with a youngster doctor. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Next thing on the item is acknowledge February birthdays. Anybody want to do that? Let me find it here. It was in here, so. I know one was,
Right after the,
where you got it? Go ahead.
right there.
So we have Hill Crib Treasurer's Office, February 10th. Nisha Iracho Detention Center, February 20th. Stephanie Zarate, DWI Compliance, February 21st. Susan Zacatero, Detention Center, February 26th. Happy birthday.
And to acknowledge.
Make a motion to acknowledge that
Second.
birthdays. Oh, I'm not, okay. So then, all in favor?
Aye.
Next on the item is public comment. Okay, so I just got to read this part. So during this portion of our meeting, we welcome your suggestions and want to hear your concerns. This is not a question and answer period. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes. The county commission is not able to take action on matters discussed during public comment. Speakers are requested to state their name for the record. Thank you. So we're in public comment. Anybody have
Your graders, after 40 years, how many hours do you have on them?
you can come up here, Alan? You can come up here to the microphone. Just introduce.
We have it on.
No, we can have it on record.
Well, how many hours do you have on your grader? That's all I want.
Mr. Chairman, you might have to address that with the county manager later.
Yeah,
We can't
I wouldn't have that
questions.
answer. The question is what, Alan?
How many hours do you have on your grader?
Oh, okay. Did you get that, Andy?
I did.
We'll get that to you, Alan. Okay.
I'm Casey Dockerto. I did want to address the road, of course, the county road. I'm a 6th generation ranch brat, and we live out in Bingham, well, at past San Antonio on Dockerto Road. And we've never had an issue since I can remember, and that's not to age myself, but almost 40 years, our roads have been maintained by the county. They just always have. The roads, my grandma lives out there. She's a diabetic. If we don't have access to town, when it rains, we've had culverts that have been washed out that we've asked the road department to go put back into place. We were told no. We were told they are no longer going to be county maintained roads, or they no longer are county maintained roads. We were told, nobody told us to live out there. Socorro is a ag community. We have farmers, ranchers, and that's the community I was raised in. That's the community my mom was raised in. My grandfather worked his whole life to give us a place to live. And I don't see why we should be told that our roads can't be maintained if that's where he worked his life to put us. Why should we be told who told us to live there? And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Commissioners, Marty Greenwood. I'm here to discuss the roads, particularly the 234 Forest Road out in south of Magdalena. Been bladed for 50 some odd years. And just because it has a forest number on it, it's had a county road number on it for probably that many years too. And I can't see why that all of a sudden that these roads across BLM land or Forest Service land have been abandoned by the county and skip to, I think you can look at the map, skip to a little piece of private up where the rancher lives and skip the 10 miles that connects him to the highway. I don't know. I looked at that map. I was in here the other day with the county manager and I asked him for a map and he wouldn't give me one. He told me I could take pictures of one. I asked him today, there was a whole lot of the pictures that I took on the map. There's a lot of discrepancy in it. There's roads on that map that's never been maintained by the county and you're fixing to approve them tonight, which is totally wrong. And you can't blame the roads that are going to these people's houses. I think there's a lot of mistakes in that map. And I just can't understand why that we're counting out the BLM or Forest Service roads that have been shared with the county for years and years. Same with the Alamo out there. You know, there's county roads everywhere, and the county residents have that right to have their roads maintained. We all pay gasoline tax, motor vehicle tax. Basically, some of the people, that's all they get out of it is the road maintained out of the county. I don't know, there's probably a bunch of ranchers in here tonight that their roads have been totally disgusting in the last few years. And I think that the map that you're fixing to approve, there's a lot of wrong in it. Whenever they started naming all these roads and took the county road numbers off of them, it became a mess. And in my opinion, it needs to go back to the numbers where people know where they're at. I have a list here, but in 3 minutes I can't show you the whole thing. But there's just a lot of things wrong with that map, and I'd be damn glad to sit down with any of you and point it out. There's roads on that map that are in blue. It's never been maintained by the county. There's roads on that map that are closed, been vacated for 25 years, and it's marked off that county maintain them right now. And you're gonna turn it into the state to collect money on them? Ain't right. And you can't blame the roads that are going to the people that pay money. So.
I hear you, Marty. I think we all hear you. I think your 3 minutes are up, but
Okay.
I'd like to sit down with that list with you.
All right. Thank you.
Good evening, Chairman Gonzalez, Council. My name is Matthew Tensio. I'm the field manager for the Socorro BLM. I just got the position in November. Like Mr. Greenwood said, we have a lot of the same concerns with the roads and the map. We, as the BLM, our main mission is to provide for the public, meaning you all, everyone in this room, permittees. We have a multiple use mission, recreation, ranching, mining. It's all in our mission to provide for that. And the county has always been a wonderful partner with the Bureau of Land Management, and we would love to maintain that partnership. Back in November, an agreement from 1996 was basically canceled for 72 miles of roads that we feel as the BLM -1 are very important for the public and bring a lot of revenue to the county. So we would love to see those roads being maintained. We as the BLM do not get funding for maintenance. We don't have a grader. We have one bulldozer and a backhoe, and that's it. So we rely on the county as partners through our tilt funding to help maintain those roads. This is Jeff Bassett.
Yeah, for the record, Jeff Bassett with BLM, just here to echo the same sentiments. As BLM, we're here to serve the public, the residents. So, and we'd like to work with the county doing that. That was a 28-year-old agreement that worked well, and there's no reason it shouldn't work or be reinstated, or no reason we can't work together to serve the same public. So even we serve an audience larger than just the county residents too. There's a lot of ecotourism that people come from out of the county and bring stuff to this area. So.
And we would gladly entertain a meeting in our office with the new roads manager to go over the map and the list because we have a lot of knowledge of these roads ourselves. We know which ones get maintained, we know which ones don't. So we would gladly entertain a meeting in our office to pull up the big screen and go line by line with the permittees, with anybody who's concerned to come to our office and go through the list. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, I'm putting away the sheriff's hat now and putting on the citizen's hat. Let's start just by saying Socorro is 6,700 square miles. And the vast majority of that 6,700 square miles is either farm or ranch land. That would tell me that our farmers and ranchers are the lifeblood of our community. They put the meat on the table and they feed us. And I think not maintaining some of these roads doesn't just affect them, but it affects us as well. I know I grew up on a ranch that it is going to affect. And I know of some elderly people that live on these roads that they can't just get up and move somewhere else. You know, they need help as well to keep their roads. So if there is an emergency, they can get an ambulance in there. I escorted many ambulances back into there before, not just for crashes and whatnot, but for people. And I think it's important that, if possible, we continue to maintain these roadways. Public safety as well, you know, but for us to get out to certain places, we're going to need certain roads to be maintained. Without it, I think it's going to make life difficult for a lot of people. And I would just hope that you would consider that and maybe think about everybody that it does affect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tina Gusum is a resident of Magdalena. Just a point of reference, I guess, our main medical provider for the clinic, Stacy Oldham, actually lives on 234, and I have property on 234. And I think I have a Jeep, and I thought it was going to fall apart the other day, just going on that road. But my concern would be that our nurse can get to the clinic. So just as a heads up for that, because that is an additional layer of well-being for our community as well. So I just wanted to add that. So if you didn't know that provider lives there, it's kind of important that you do. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, my name is Albert Fernandez. I also have a ranch on 234, and I've owned it for 8 years now. What I can say is the last 2 years have been horrible. If we get maintenance once a year, we are very fortunate. The cost in vehicles and tires and safety is unreal out there. You get 1 million hunters out on that road that tear that road up horribly. I travel it every day, or my worker travels it every day. It's just gone to a point to where it's tough to get out there every day. So I hope you guys look at us a little closer and try to do a little bit more maintenance. We used to get it 3 or 4 times a year, like I say. If we get it once, we're like, thank you guys.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm Donna Muncie. I have grandkids that live out on Del Puerto Road, and they go to school in San Antonio and Socorro. There's a reason the buses don't go over them dirt roads, because it tears them up. Well, it does our vehicles too. And when them roads aren't maintained, it's hard for us to get them kids to school. I brought my kids a lot of miles dirt road to school, and they maintained the road. The county did out by the BLA. And now on the Del Puerto Road, that road is horrible. They're working on it right now after all of this started. They finally went out and started working on it. But the last 2 years, they haven't. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Joan Del Puerto, and I just want to reiterate that I feel like you may have rushed into a decision on our road, deciding not to service it on Del Puerto Road, not fully knowing. I realize that you're having some kind of reservation about the status of the road department, but I don't feel that the people should have to suffer for this that live on these roads. We have children that are going to school. My mother lives out there, and she is elderly, and my father lived out there. And we've all, it's not like they're graded every month. I mean, we're lucky if they get graded a couple times a year. And for us to be told, you know, that this is no longer going to be a county managed road. My parents have been taxpayers. Me and my brother are taxpayers. I just do not see the knowledge behind this. We have hunters that are out on those roads all the time. Socorro County is a big hunting environment. And we are New Mexico people. There is income made to the state from the hunting. I just believe that you could reconsider these roads, these ranchers. I mean, they've been maintained by the county all this time, my whole lifetime. I won't say how old I am, but my whole lifetime they've been maintained by the county. So please reconsider.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing there's no more public comment, I need a motion to go back. We're done with public comment.
Just go to presentation.
Line number 10, presentations. What do we have? Nothing? We don't have anything there. Number 11, action items. 11A is consideration of resolution 2025-12, appointment of housing authority board members.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This is a rollover item from the previous meeting that we were waiting to make the full appointment of everybody, waiting on one appointment. Betty Saavedra has accepted that appointment. So I recommend the adoption of resolution 2025-12 with Betty Saavedra filling in that final seat.
So moved.
Second.
A motion from Commissioner Monette and a second from Commissioner Montoya for consideration of resolution 2025-12. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item B, consideration of resolution 2025-16, appointment of Lodgers Tax Board.
Mr. Chairman, I visited with the manager about this earlier, and unless some of the commissioners have somebody they'd like to appoint at this time, I'd motion we table it until we get people interested in serving on that, and then bring it back to the commission at that time.
Is that the one?
So moved.
Second?
Yep.
Yeah. Motion by Commissioner Monette and a second by Commissioner Montoya to table resolution 2025-16. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Item C, consideration of resolution 2025-18, appointment of County Fire Marshal Fred Berger.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you our new emergency manager, Mr. Fred Berger. He's here in attendance. At this time, I've been serving as the interim county fire marshal pending the appointment of a emergency manager. So at this time, I recommend that we approve resolution 2025-18 and appoint Mr. Fred Berger as the county fire marshal.
So he's also the
Fire Marshal.
So he would be the emergency manager / county fire
like it
marshal.
was before. Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Commissioner Monette and a second from Commissioner Montoya for the appointment of Fred Berger, emergency manager / fire marshal, resolution 2025-18. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Consideration of resolution 2025 PMS services inside detention center.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This is another rollover item at this time. We're still in discussion, so I would respectfully request this item be tabled.
Second.
Do you want it to the next meeting or?
Yeah,
or until?
you think coming pretty close, we're kind of past the deadline, right? As far as.
No, there's still plenty of time. This is a whole new concept, so there's no deadline here of any kind. But it's just one of those that we're keeping it here on the agenda just to make sure it's there. So once we get the agreement in place, we can bring it to you right away.
Okay. So motion from Commissioner Montoya and a second from Commissioner Monette to table resolution 2025. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, motion passes. Item F, consideration of resolution 2025. Oh no, E, I'm sorry, I skipped one. Consideration of resolution 2025-26 to 2026 NMDOT LGRF County Arterial Project in Central.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This actually is a time-sensitive issue that each year we have to, well, we don't have to, but it's in our best interest to go ahead and go after the 3 grant funding opportunities that we have. So we have what's known as the County Arterial Project, the Cooperative Project, and the School Bus Route. So what you have before you is the El Centro Road, and the reason it's being brought to you is we're targeting right now those areas of the district that of the county that haven't been serviced for at least the last 15 years. And so these are going to be those sections where right now we have the largest population of students in a centralized area. And so that's how these roads were selected. And so I would recommend that we approve resolution 2025-26 for El Centro Road.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Commissioner Monette and a second from Commissioner Montoya for the approval of resolution 2025-26 of Central Road. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? None. Hearing none, resolution 2025-26 passes. Item F, consideration of resolution 2025-27 2026 NMDOT LRRF Cooperative Co-op Alameda Road.
Same comment as previously, so I would recommend the adoption of Resolution 2025-27, as this was another road specifically chosen that is impacted by the largest percentage of student population in the county.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion for Commissioner Monet, and a second for Commissioner Montoya for the approval of Resolution 25-27. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, Resolution 2025-27 passes. G, consideration of Resolution 2025-2026 NMDOT LGRF School Bus Route.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. This is same comment as previously, so I would recommend the adoption of 2025-28.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by myself, Commissioner Gonzalez, and a second by Commissioner Monet for the approval of Resolution 2025-28. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, Resolution 2025-28 passes. Skip page. Item H, consideration of Resolution 2025-29 adopting the 2025 annual certified maintenance mileage record report.
Thank you, board. Mr. Chair, this will be the fun one. What I would like to do at this time is to hand out some packets and then to be able to discuss this with you so that this way we can point out some of those comments that came up and to be able to address them through this packet so that you'll see where we are. Mr. Secretary, Vice Chair, what I was able to do with this is we left in those roads that had previously been on the list. And if they're being requested to be removed from the list, you're going to be able to see the strike-throughs and be able to see all of it. And additionally, throughout the entire boardroom, there's a map. And so I'll be going to that map to point out exactly what's happening and why and the reasons for it. So at this time, let me go ahead and pass this out to you, and then I will continue with the presentation.
If I may, before we begin. Something like this in regards to presentation, this is going to take, for us to look at this and to decide spur of the moment like that, I don't think that's fair to any one of us. I didn't see this particular resolution in our packet.
The resolution is in the packet. This is not in the packet.
Under what tab?
So the resolution is in the packet. This, what I am handing out to you, is not in the packet because of technical difficulties. And so you're not being asked to adopt it tonight. You can if the board desires. However, if we look back to previous precedent, it was always initiated and discussed and then action taken at the following meeting. But this is going to be that same type of process. So nothing's being presented to you other than the ability to ascertain kind of what it is, and so that we can do it in a public setting.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, are you done, Commissioner? Mr. Chairman, if I may, I have strong feelings about a lot of this, and if we've always maintained a road, I have a hard time with us not continuing to maintain those roads. I would ask, maybe in a little bit, I'll make a motion to this, but I would like to find out from the county manager, if he doesn't know, if we could do some research on what the state pays the county if we add roads to the mileage maintenance list, and how much it actually costs to maintain those roads, and see what the difference is and see how that would hit us within our budget, which from your previous conversation, I know that the road department is not in the financial shape we'd like it in. However, from years past in a previous life, when I was a commissioner sitting on this board, The road department was one of the most well-funded departments that the county had. And it seemed like we were always going to the road department, trying to get money to fix loopholes in other areas. And now I feel like the road department's become our stepchild. So I would ask the county manager to find out what the net difference is on what the state pays us by adding a road versus what it costs to maintain those roads. Because having a conversation, more than one conversation with the county manager regarding this, I know there's some roads he wants to add because they're going to be school bus routes. And I think that's important. But as our county grows and our population grows and kids do need to get to school, we may need to have a serious conversation on budgeting for the road department. Understanding we used to have 6 or 7 blades and we're down to 3 and possibly 4. And I feel that the road department may have taken the brunt of a lot of this, different cuts in different areas for different things. So those are the things I worry about at this point.
Thank you, Commissioner. If I may go ahead and address a couple of your questions. I have my road director here tonight who will be able to add to this. But just so you know, for the last fiscal year, we had quote unquote 1,300 miles of maintained road. For that 1,300 miles, we received state funding in the amount of $37,853.62. When you start doing the calculations, that is a percentage of fees of 0.0075%. So we're not even getting 1/100th of cost. And so what we're looking at then is if we were to add additional mileage to it, you could, for each one of those miles added, we're basically getting in the neighborhood of 7 to 10 cents. And so what I would like to do at this time is I will go ahead and call up Louis Martinez, my road director, as we have been doing some of the constructive analysis pertaining to what it costs to construct and maintain roads. And so I'll go ahead and turn it over at this time, and Mr. Martinez can provide you a little bit more as to what it actually costs to maintain a mile of road.
I'd like to finish my comments that I was stating before, but we're under no state statute where this list, as you did state, does not need to be approved tonight. We have until April 1st to dice up today. BLM has offered to sit down and visit with us. Mr. Greenwood's offered his services on putting numbers and names of roads on there. I've had 3 meetings with BLM so far regarding these roads, and they're even confused by some of the names that we call them versus what they call them. And I think we need to have a solid plan going forward as we move forward, but I'll turn it over to the superintendent.
Just real quick, Mr. Chairman. I agree with Danny. I think we need to look at how we can continue to maintain these roads that we have been for years. I agree with the sheriff. It's a safety issue with the sheriff's department and the ambulances getting to these people. They do live out there, whether it's a populated area or not. We owe it to them to continue to work with them to help them out.
Yes. Go ahead.
So for chip seal, we're looking at anywhere between 45 to 50,000.
Is the microphone on by any chance?
Can you hear me?
Thank you.
So depending on how wide your road is, the shot rate we shoot, it can range anywhere from 45 to 50,000 per mile. Paving, asphalt is in the ballpark of 1 million. And that's what we're looking at right now. And that doesn't include, let's say there's a dirt road, drainage, the engineering that needs to go into it, the subgrade. These are all factors in that. And the LGRF project, El Centro, Almeda, and Escobar. Those we worked on, we sent them to Andy for your approval. We're gonna go from there.
if I may, for grading purposes, when we were putting together the cost, what is the general cost right now per mile to move the equipment and to be able to do 1 mile of road?
A mile of road, I'd have to look it up, manager. Because you're looking at removing the grader, you gotta look at the lowboy, the cost of the lowboy, cost of the transport, the grader, and then mileage. Also, your manpower, your labor cost. But I could look that up.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Martinez, if you don't mind, visiting with BLM, they did say if they had a pit in the area or if they had an area where they could work with us, they'd be more than willing to help us with material if they have something that's close in that area, so we did not have to transport material to get the roads up to standard. If that helps us. I mean, they do want to be a partner, and they do want to work with the county. And I know they're working on a lot of recreation in the area as far as around Gordy's Hill. They're doing some different things and stuff. And I think that's important. We continue to work on that as well as the ranch roads.
Yes, sir. No, that would be a big help. I mean, have a little base course at the yard. And if the harder to truck it, we'd have to truck it from the yard. We have some spots out like Bingham in our area. We'd have to truck some material out there. Yes, it's cost effective.
Thank you.
It does cost quite a bit.
All right, so what I'd like to do with the handout packet. Yes.
Andy, you mentioned 1,300 miles. That's the old list, right? And the new proposed list, is that the same amount of mileage? I know we're taking away and adding and that type of thing, so we're not gonna be decreasing the minimum amount of money that we get anyway, right?
Correct. We're not decreasing the new mileage. If you look on the last page of the handout that was provided to you, you're looking at 1,347.33 miles.
But that is, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Chairman, but that is switching some roads that are maintained and not maintained, and some that are not maintained to maintain.
Correct.
You happen to know the number if we just say this out loud? Add and not take off what the total mileage would be, just to get a dollar sense of, like you said, 7 cents a mile.
What we're reimbursed.
Yeah, so just doing rough math right now. So if we were to add on the quote unquote 100 additional miles.
That's all it is.
Yeah. We'd be looking at 7 cents.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
All right, so what I'd like to do is to go through with you real quick, and so that the audience can also look at the map so that we can have this understanding of why the proposals are there, what's impacted, and how it came to fruition that these recommendations through the road department are being made. The first 2 pages of this are going to be the policy that was adopted by this board. Back in, I believe it was August of 2024. And so what we have then is the ability to look at where recommendations are coming from, where constituencies are based, where the population is, and what and how we're going to be able to do to maintain the roads. The conversations individuals have been having with BLM are the same conversations I have had with BLM since the board voted to terminate the contract. There's nothing new that hasn't been told to me directly in those meetings. But what it comes to is if the county is making decisions about maintaining roads and there is the ability for another entity to do the maintenance of that road because it is going to be their maintained road as the previous agreement stated. He could benefit more individuals in the county by allowing them to fulfill their duties rather than trying to take over their duties for them. So in other words, if the BLM were to maintain Conant Road and Cabarrdas roads, that they currently are the ones responsible for maintaining those roads. If they did their job, we're able to now take care of another 1,200 residents in Socorro County. So what we did is we did the analysis of, do we want to take care of a few, or could we take care of more and look at different roads that are going to be impacting different areas of the county, and specifically looking at bus routes? What roads can we maintain to ensure that we're getting as many students to school safely as possible? Currently, 0 students are transported on Cabradas Road. Currently, 0 buses are going on Conant Road. Those are the 2 roads that we are recommending come off the maintained list and be replaced. So what I would like to do is draw your attention to the maps so that you can see the green colors. Michelle, if I stand, is it still recording and able to pick up my voice?
Right there.
Are you able to pick up my voice from here? So if we look at the board, Cabradas Road is here. That is right now a BLM maintained road. This other one up here that's called Vicente del Curto, on the BLM maps, is called Conant Road.
Can I interrupt you 1 second?
Yes.
If we could, Mr. Chairman, if the people that are here, there's maps around the room,
Come up and look them up if you want.
so you know what we're talking about.
So this one up here, this would remain BLM maintained. Notice that all the way up here to Johnson Hill is still county maintained. The reason this is remaining county maintained is there are still some school children that are back up in here. So we're maintaining that, as well as you'll notice that when we talk about Gordy's Hill and the BLM area, we are still maintaining all the way to that recreation area. So any discussion from the BLM saying that we need to maintain to the recreation area, we're continuing to do so under this new plan. That's not impacted. The only thing impacted is going to be after Johnson Hill, the rest of Conant. What we are replacing, if you come down here to Bianchi Road, you'll notice that it's in green. The reason that we have this loop here is that's Box Canyon. This is one of, based upon the recent tourist studies, this is the most traveled tourist road right now, Box Canyon back to I-25. So we're going to be maintaining that. The other thing that you notice is we come over here to the eastern side of the county. You'll notice that we have blue all the way up until Monte Pinos. At Monte Pinos, that turns green. We're now picking up that green portion because right through here is a main bus route for those children that live back up in here. And the thing that it now allows us to do is all the way from 380, we can take that road now all the way back up here to Del Curto Ranch. So there's now going to be a way that Del Curto Ranch can come down a maintained road to 380 to get to the schools. So by doing it this way, we're now able to address those concerns, but we can benefit all of the other landowners back through here rather than just a single landowner by maintaining Conant Road. The next thing that you'll see that's being added is going to be this road over here that is Grand Quiveta. Currently, we do not have a way for the residents on the eastern part of the county to get from 380 all the way back up into Torrance County. By doing this, we now have that road that goes all the way. And what it does for Socorro County is we have the Grand Quiveta ruins that are out here. We're now going to have the ability for individuals that could not access that point of destination to access it better, as well as for all of these other residents that are throughout this area to now have access directly to 380, which they currently don't do. So to reiterate, the roads that are proposed to go from county maintenance to BLM, which they currently are, Quebradas, Conant.
And what is the distance?
Everyone's talking. Oh. It's good. Can you hear?
And what is the distance we're looking at?
Thank you, Vice Chair. You asked the question of what is the distance we are talking at? It's going to be in the packet that I provided to you. And give me a second here while we flip through that. If you give me a little bit of time, I can provide that to you. All right, I don't have my glasses. Are those readers? Casey.
Casey.
So if you go to page 9 of 19, you'll notice that Conant Road is 30 or 39.7 miles. So this section here is 30 or 39 miles. Quebradas Road, this road right here is 24 miles.
So what roads in the Launch Bingham area are you gonna stop maintaining? Others are.
The question was, what roads in the Conch Bingham area am I going to, are we proposing to quit maintaining?
Yeah.
Zero. We are not proposing that any of the roads out here stop maintaining. The only two roads that we are stating that are not going to be on our maintained list because they are BLM maintained roads are Quebradas and Conant. Those are the only two roads that are negatively impacted by this plan. What we are adding, Bianchi, Montepinos, Gran Quiveta. Now, in the future years, once we have more data and everything else, I can tell you the plan that we're putting in place is going to be where we have new subdivisions going in and new houses going in that we're going to try to look to add to our maintained list. This area out here off of 107, Muleshul, in this area is where they're talking about the Forest Road 234. That's going to be on the next fiscal year after we've been able to develop the budget and do some other things. That's going to be one of the areas. The other area with the most housing going in is if you look right down here, this area, there's only currently one main artery that's maintained. This is going to be the next section based upon population that we're going to have to address.
So in the Magdalena area off 107, or is there anything you're cutting out?
Zero.
So is there something that was maintained in the past that we're not going to maintain?
No. As of the 2024 maintained list, we are not subtracting anything from the Magdalena Alamo area. Everything that was on this list that you see up here right now and on this is staying in put. Once again, to reiterate, the only two roads that are being moved off of our maintained list are Quebradas, Conant Road. And everyone that's out here is still going to have the access to come down to 380 all the way. So now there's not going to be a reason why the buses cannot make it all the way back up in here because we're going to be able to maintain that whole section through there. But if we stayed with Conant, there's still no way to help these individuals because we wouldn't be able to now do Montepinos.
What road are they concerned about doing?
So they're talking about Forest Road 234, which is back in here off of Muleshul. and it's currently in red. It's not a maintained road. So in other words, the 2024 plan that was adopted back there did not have Morse Road 234 maintained.
At any point, had the county been maintaining it?
There was potentially a courtesy blade that went on, but I cannot find any records that it was the adopted maintained list. Oh, back here? That would be 15, you'd be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 20 to 30. So this is where it starts, and so it's to yeah. It should be.
So what I'm saying is. So like, according to your so most of it,
no, it should reflect that. If not bigger.
So
So hold on. So Vice Chair was asking about the data as to the type of road. To answer that, what I have to tell you is the 2024 maintained road list is what you have in front of you with the changes to the roads. So whatever was on this list that the board approved in 2024 is exactly what you have in front of you, except for these two changes. So if this road up here that you were talking about was chip sealed, then this in 2024 was adopted incorrectly, but we can now make the change to reflect if it's truly chip sealed. That's going to be an easy change for us to make. But I couldn't make that in my presentation to you because I couldn't change the 2024 maintained road list.
This road was vacated years ago. Here. Over here, this is Tech Road. This is the Tech Road. Vacated. So we can get some cleaning. And I think if we take advantage of what these benefits, we have to sit down and we have to go to a workshop, maybe BLN, get a bunch of it's got some of that knowledge. And I did check. Okay.
Mr. Chair, at this time, just because the audio can no longer pick up because of the conversations that are taking place, I would respectfully request that everybody go back to their seat, end their conversations. They can continue to look at the maps, but this way I'll be able to answer questions and be able to have the discussions going forward. That one of the things that I want to point out is in the packet that was handed to you is the 2024 maintained list. It appears that there were probably some discrepancies in that 2024 maintained list. That this is what we can now use to clean up, and I have no problem being able to clean that up. But the problem is going to be, we'll have to have something specifically in hand when it comes to what road type that surface is. and the ability then to reflect on the maintained list, what it is. But what I couldn't do making this presentation to you is to take the 2024 maintained list that was approved by you and then come back to you with those irregularities. Rather, what this presentation was is solely to get our total miles maintained. That's the sole purpose of what the state's requiring of us, is how many total miles are maintained and on what roads. And just, I want the record to reflect that it's my understanding now that if we made these changes back here to Monte Pinos, that unless I heard wrong, the Del Curtos are okay with those changes, that they have access to 380 and we wouldn't need to do Connect Road.
I'd need to look at the map and be explained to it better, because we have different road names. So, I mean, I'd have to sit with you and look at them. You're giving names that we are not familiar with.
And just so everybody knows that there are two different maps in my office. There's the numbered map and then there's this map.
Well, we're using the BLM map.
And so we would be able to have those two numbers and names, and you can look at them side by side to be able to see exactly what the roads are and what's happening with it. But those are the recommended changes and why. And I believe under this, if we're able to address the Del Curtos concerns and be able to show that they have the connection to 380.
We've been trying to address them for the last 6 months and you haven't cooperated.
So we would be able to do that in this time period now with this maintained list. And I think that all concerns are going to be able to be taken place. That the other thing that I just want to bring to everybody's attention is just to make sure that everybody remembers that there's the road policy that we have in place. So with all of these requests for road maintenance and for inclusion on this list, I just want the record to reflect that we do not have a request from the Del Curtos, and we do not have any request from anybody else on Connet Road or from Quebradas Road on this form that the board adopted.
Mr. Chairman.
Sir,
Mr.
you
Chairman.
have a request from me and I live on Del Curto Road.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I don't feel we're ready to take action on this evening. With your permission, I'd like to pass around a notebook for anybody that would like to attend. I briefly visited with BLM. I checked with our road superintendent. And any commissioners that want to attend, we can advertise a quorum if we need to. But I think we have a public workshop one morning and we can address these concerns and have maps in front of everybody to where we know what we're going with. There's already been pointed out to me, there's some roads that have been vacated by the county that still show maintained on there. I think we need to address all these issues at the same time. So with that, I'd make a motion to table. And I will pass the notebook around, and please put your name, phone number, and email if you want to attend these meetings, and I will contact you personally. And I will do that if it meets the wishes of the commission.
If I may, Mr. Chair, what I would recommend on that motion there is I will send Commissioner Monette my availability so that we can have this meeting in my office where we have all of the maps available for everybody to sit around, be able to see the same map at the same time. And so that way we're all in there together to be able to come up with that and to look at the 2024 maintained list to see if there are any maintained roads that shouldn't have been included that were somehow left on for 2024. We can do all of that clarification at that time, but I'll go ahead and send those dates of availability and we can do the public notice.
If I may, sir.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. I think even before we get to that point, my most important thing is I don't want any discrepancy in regards to from here on out in regards to what we have up here. And I think it should be a joint efforts between the superintendent and also you in regards to, and also his crew in regards to say, hey, you know what, let's take a look at this list. Because this was, I brought this up back in 2024, and that road was chip sealed before 2024. So, you know, and, you know, I just want this list here current, you know, in regards to the roads and whatnot. That way we're not shortchanging our constituents or ourselves in regards to, you know, hey, we could, you know, it's like, okay, you know, how can we maintain that chip seal? You know, okay, well, let's throw another layer on there. But I mean, I'm not, you know, I'm not asking for that, but I'm just saying, in terms of maintaining this road, I think, you know, we should, first of all, before we even, that's a great motion, you know, that this list right here needs to be up to date and current in regard to, and then also correct in regards to what we have.
100% agree with all of those comments, which is why we have been putting these plans into place, because yeah, when it came to what roads are called, what their numbers are, having the maps available, these didn't exist back in July of 2024. So getting this all now up to date, the institutional knowledge is definitely going to be one of those things that we need to have to bring this up to date. And so it's welcome, because that's the goal of this, is to make sure we are providing services to as many Socorro County residents as we can, knowing the dollar amounts that we have, and being able to make sure our maps clearly reflect truly what happened. Because other than the 2024 maintained list, there isn't anything else. So if those roads are showing that they're maintained, it's because this is. So let's get it up to date.
One thing, Andy, that maintained list that you're talking about, that's whether it's an actual county road or a BLM road or that we maintain.
So maintained means we as the county are going to provide maintenance on that road. There are certain roads that are unmaintained, that even though they're unmaintained, doesn't mean we stop all services. It just means that we target the ones that are maintained first. And if we have anything left over or time allotted, we can always do a courtesy blade on any of those other roads. Nothing prohibits us from doing courtesy blades, but it's a matter of being able to first address the roads on our maintained list.
Which is maintained list is whether it's a actual county road or a forest road or a BLM, that's just right.